Yeah, Jonathan says, for this young man, I hope this becomes a pivotal moment for the holistic view of his life, right? This idea that, wow, like I should be thinking for myself. I should actually be listening and doing research based off of these things. Speaking of J.K. Rowling, this tweet has been passed around. It has almost 40 million views over on X. And this just says, this is a wonderful example of a good teacher. And the tweet here, have you seen this flash? It says, this is utter brilliant. A student accuses J.K. Rowling of being transphobic. This teacher skillfully dissects the claim and challenges it by asking questions. Have you seen this yet?
I have not.
It's amazing.
Okay, so let's go and watch this. And this is 4.5 minutes long, so we'll start and stop as we go along. So stick with us as we make our way through, guys. This is really, really good.
You guys want to talk about J.K. Rowling? Is that so? What's going on with that? What do you want to know?
She's had a pretty controversial past. I just want to know, like, what are your thoughts on it? And, like, do you still like her work despite her bigoted opinions?
Okay, so Flash, let me know at any point you want to stop, okay?
Okay.
So let's get specific, though. Let's define bigoted opinions. What opinions are bigoted? We're going to treat this as a thought experiment. I'm not going to say what's right or wrong or what way to think. The whole point is to learn how to think, not what to think.
Yeah.
So when you say bigot, you're starting with the conclusion that given her bigoted opinions.
Yeah.
So first, let's start with, does she have bigoted opinions? So when you say bigoted opinions,
She has had a history of being extremely transphobic, I've heard.
hey, you've heard. So what? Can you give me an example?
If you look at her Twitter, I think you could see a few things. If you want, I could try and find
see
something.
See if you can find one.
Okay, so we're off to a poor start for the student where he's heard things about this person, but he has no proof yet. So
No receipts.
yes, no receipts. So he's gone off and found receipts.
So, one of these tweets that she came out with in 2019, she said, "Dress however you please, call yourself whatever you like, sleep with any consenting adult who will have you live your best life in peace and security, but force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real."
So you find that bigoted? What do you find about
It was
in there?
It was deemed transphobic. I myself.
Do you find that transphobic yourself?
I love how he's just taking his time and asking
Right.
him, so what do you think? Well, it was deemed this by who? You know.
The mob.
He's so calm and patient. I love it.
Yes. So here we go. Continue.
I don't really have an opinion on it, but I'm just going with what.
But you sure are loud about it.
Yeah, very much so. I don't have an opinion about it. But by the way, he opened up with, what are your thoughts on her? She's transphobic.
Given
Right.
that she's a transphobic fact.
Right.
People have said.
So let's pause there. Let's not go with what other people are saying. Let's try and learn how to critically think. So let's analyze the tweet ourselves. So
This is pretty good stuff, man. Let's go think for yourself, buddy. There you go.
that statement, do you see anything problematic? Disregarding other people's opinions.
She did try and pin some things on a specific group of people.
Where does she do that? Can you read that?
But force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real.
So when I hear that, I'm interpreting that as meaning if a woman says that, saying that there's a difference between men and female and then being attacked as transphobic, I think that's what she's saying by attacking someone for stating that sex is real.
That is exactly what she's saying.
Is that transphobic to you?
Okay. So let's go back literally 2 minutes and 31 seconds where he's like, J.K. Rowling is transphobic, blah, blah, blah. And now he's kind of turned it back and he's just asking, what do you think?
Is that transphobic to you?
So, to me, no. Stating that sex is real is not transphobic. It's just a fact of life. It exists.
So is there anything you disagree with in that tweet?
In that tweet, I can't really see anything that I myself disagree with, but I can see why some people would think, oh, this is offensive. We can't have that here or something. Because
Sure.
there's an apology tweet.
What did she? Let's read that. What did she say there? I haven't read that.
Iris.
I want to get this guy on the show.
Yeah?
I want to know who this guy is, and I want to get him on the show.
This is a good teacher, actually. It seems like one of the few.
Right?
Yeah, he's just kind of
And he
seems to be
never insults the student, which is the best part, right? Because like this student is clearly a schmuck, and yet he's literally just been like, "All right, let's think about this. Let's think about this."
He's sweating in his chair. You can tell by his nervous voice.
right.
Mm-hmm.
He's got I don't know energy going on right now. Where somebody told me this, so I should believe it, you know. And this guy's just sitting here calmly, just listening. Has kind of
was
almost
the girl I sit with at the lunch table.
right. She says she's transphobic.
She's 500 pounds and has blue hair, and she's got pib.
I like to touch her back breast.
I agree with her, so I can try to have sex with her.
What, did was it back breast that did it, Blabs?
Yeah, that's nasty, man.
Oh, back boobs?
Back boobs.
Oh, they go in the front, ladies, not in the back.
All right, let's continue.
Oh, if you got back boobs, you should know. Like maybe
It's time to get to the
maybe
gym.
it's time to do something. Back boobs are disgusting.
Oh my God.
Respect every trans person's right to live any way that feels authentic and comfortable to them. I'd march with you if you were discriminated against on the basis of being trans. At the same time, my life has been shaped by being female. I do not believe it is hateful to say so.
You see anything problematic there?
She's apologizing, so
She's not.
no, not
Yeah,
really.
she's not.
Yeah, I didn't hear a single apology in that at all. She
J.K.
never
Rowling
said,
has
"I'm
never
sorry."
apologized. She never bent the knee.
If I could read it again.
It sounds like a very similar statement as what she was just saying. She's basically saying like, I have nothing. To me, this is what I interpret it as. I have nothing against someone being trans.
Exactly.
Live your life, but you just don't get to impose on my. You can live how you want. I can live how I want,
Yeah,
and let's all,
exactly.
So I guess now that we're looking at it like, oh, there's not much difference between me or her. Do you think it's fair that that she's being attacked by a large group of people and people are calling her, like you said at the beginning of this conversation, you said, given the fact that J.K. Rowling is transphobic, how do you feel about Harry Potter? Now, retroactively looking at that statement, do you think that was the best way to phrase?
No, I feel like an idiot now.
It's okay.
Good.
But this is why we do this, to learn
Yeah.
how to think.
That's
See,
awesome.
And he never insults ever. He's like, good, this is how we learn how to think, which is honestly instructive for young
Now-
kids too.
I will say this. I think it's interesting to hear the young man go in, this student at that point, going in and having this conversation with this. This professor is clearly a younger, young man as well. He looks like he's in his mid to late 20s, I would imagine. But this younger student is approaching, and the student was able to take the criticism and actually do a little bit of that critical thinking. I wonder what that conversation would have looked like had the student been a female instead of a male. You wonder if there would be an emotional aspect of that if they would have been able to have that critical thinking, or if they just would have been blinded by the idea that, well, she's a transphobe. I don't know. But Laz, do you think that would have made a difference in that situation, or do you think that the teacher handled that well?
I think it was pretty neutral in comparison if it would have been male or female. I would hope that there would be no emotional wah in there, but some of these women nowadays are just really crazy. So honestly, it's hard to say without actually doing the whole entire conversation again, exactly the same type of tone again with a female, and seeing what the results would be.
So it's just all wild to me because the only thing that she wants is space for women, real women. What was the one example she used? Like a woman shelter for battered women. Like why? That's not happening to a trans woman like that. Why should they be there?
Right. It was real interesting to see the total flip flop in just a couple minutes. And as pointed out in the chat, I think the idea that I hope this is used. I want to make sure I get this right. Somebody mentioned this in the chat as Yeah, Jonathan says, for this young man, I hope this becomes a pivotal moment for the holistic view of his life, right? This idea that, wow, like I should be thinking for myself. I should actually be listening and doing research based off of these things, which that t-shirt, pretty base dude. Blab, see if you can find him. Let's see if we can find him.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get him on. I think that'd be really good.
It's funny though because I literally said something about J.K. Rowling a couple weeks ago, and this guy who doesn't follow me, has never ever like interacted with me before, simply clicked on my tweet because it was a quote tweet from a discussing film that locked all their tweets, and so he was just going after people who were pro J.K. Rowling basically.
Right.
So
right.
he came at me, and I was like, all right. Let's talk about this. Can you give me a receipt of what J.K. Rowling that says is transphobic? And he's like, look at your bio, the people you hang out with. Oh, you're just a turf. You hate trans people. I'm like, give me an actual receipt. What has she said? Oh, you're an idiot. My life is way too important to be talking to you. I'm like, but you keep talking back to me, but you won't give me the receipt. Like, oh, you're just a schmuck. And he just went on and on and on until he called me a cunt, and then he left. And I was like, cool.
It's almost like there's a common thread with a lot of this, where these people who are here, they can't have, number one, they can't have a conversation. Number two, they have no proof to back up what they're talking about. Number three, it's so ingrained in them that if you were to, okay, it's like this. People who are hyper religious, you hear about this all the time. Let's just, okay. The fear that you hear about, if aliens did exist, they say it would shatter religion, right? That's kind of like if aliens were exposed. It's kind of the exact same thing where if anything was to fracture these people's mindset, these people's bubbles, that they would have no idea what to do. And I had this reality while walking around MegaCon this past weekend, looking at all these people who are dressed as their favorite characters, they're cosplaying, they're role-playing as their favorite character or whatever. And I have no problem with cosplay. I think it's fun. I think there's some really amazing costumes that come out of it. I think it's really, really, Blabs, you do the cosplay thing. You like to take pictures of yourself and Harry Potter stuff. Like, hey, that's awesome. But it's a role play. You are pretending to be. It's just like my daughters or any kids, they dress up like army men, they dress up like princess, and they pretend for a short time, and they get pictures, and then they take it off. I feel like with a lot of these kids who are so deep in this ideology, it's the same type of thing. They're role-playing, but they can't take it off. That's the thing. They get to a point to where they can't take off this ideology, even though at first it started off as this thing. And it's a little different, right? When you go to these events, when you go to MegaCon, people want to take pictures with you. It feels good. Hey, you look great as Commander Shepard, or you look great as, insert your favorite character, or Goku, whatever. You look awesome as Superman. Let's get a picture. It makes everybody feel good. There's this hit of dopamine. And at the end, when MegaCon is done, the guy takes off his Superman outfit and he moves on, and he goes on with his life, puts on a suit and tie, and he goes to his job the next day, right? But you can't do that with some of this ideology. And that's the scariest and saddest thing about this whole thing. Bringing it back to this story, this kid just kind of, his eyes opened a little bit. And hopefully, as pointed out, hopefully this is a pivotal moment in this kid's life.